Hi guys, this is Igor from Vinous Reverie Wine Merchant here in Walnut Creek, and it's time for the September Wine Club overview. We're gonna have some fun wines again this month. Organics, biodynamics dominate, but it's also a lot of these wines are vintage-specific selections. All right, let's start with the Adventurous Club and the white wines in the Adventurous Club. So the first wine is a very interesting white wine. So it comes from the Cullen Estate in Margaret River. So Margaret River is in Western Australia. They kind of call it the Napa Valley of that region. They're really good at making, Cabernet and Chardonnays. And Cullen is one of the kind of early adapters and one of the most acclaimed wineries in that region. So they're known for their Cabernets and they're known for Chardonnay. But this is a fun blend. This is about a 50-50 blend of Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc. And as you could tell right here, the name of the cuvee is called Amber. You can see the color of the wine. It's actually like an orange wine. So what they did, they put Sauvignon Blanc for 10 days on skins, which makes it kind of that orangish color, and then they put it in amphora, which is those vessels that the Georgian wines are famous for, the Georgian orange wines. And this is exactly what happened. So this is like a richer wine. It has more tannic character. And there's actually an interesting thing about the actual vines. The Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon vines are grafted on the Cabernet Sauvignon root. So this is like a white wine with red wine roots. A white wine for red wine drinkers. Very interesting wine, very complex. If you guys had orange wines before, the nose is full of dried fruit. There's peaches, salinity, all types of things are happening on the palate. Very complex wine. I'm very excited to put this in the club. So that's the first wine for the white wine selection. The second wine is from Telman Rodriguez, and the cuvee is called Bassa. So Telman Rodriguez is one of the great winemakers in Spain. He's been making wine for the last several decades, kind of in a post-Franken era. And actually his philosophy is kind of that philosophy as well. He has like three things he wants to do. He wants to rediscover, reinvent, and reinterpret the wines. And he makes all types of wines. He makes high-end trophy wines that are very highly regarded, and he makes everyday drinking wines, which are also get highly regarded, get high reviews. So this specific wine comes from Rueda, and it's a blend, mostly Verdeo, with about 10% of Jura, one of the local grapes to the area. So it's a very refreshing wine, kind of in the Sauvignon Blanc style, but to me it's got its own characteristics, and like a lot of these European wines, it's got this salinity that just brings refreshment to the wine. It's not just overpowered by fruit. So this is an excellent wine, and both of the wines I mentioned before, they're done with organic biodynamics in mind, with the idea that the healthier the vine is, the more complex and interesting the wine is going to be. All right, so these, if you're in the white wine club, you'll get both of these wines. If you're in the mixed selection club, you'll get the Telman Rodriguez Bassa Verdeo, as well as, and I'm very excited to have this wine. It's Ferraton's family's Crozes Hermitage. This is the first time I've ever had Crozes Hermitage, and I'm really excited to put it in the club because typically the wines from this region are kind of outside the price point for the Adventurous Club. This is Northern Rhone Syrah, the birthplace of Syrah. Cool climate Syrah, everything that's great about cool climate Syrah comes from Northern Rhone, and everybody who tries to copy Syrah in different parts of the world, Australians, we here in California, even South Africa is trying to copy Syrah, they're all based on Northern Rhone models. Very excited to have this in the club. So the Ferraton family, they've been making wine for decades, but in the late 90s, they asked their family friend, Michel Chapoutier, who's one of the most famous producers in Northern Rhone. He's Hermitage, both white and red. These are the wines that cost, $400, $500, $600 a bottle. So very prestigious wines. So he started assisting them, once again, converting the estate to organics and biodynamics. And finally, he actually took over the estate. And this wine comes from the 2016 vintage. As I mentioned earlier, especially when it comes to the red wines for the September selection, vintage matters. 2016 was considered a great vintage all throughout Europe. Obviously, it was a great vintage in Northern Rhone, and this is a beautiful expression of the Syrah. So, organics, biodynamics, renowned appellation, renowned winemaker, everything in this selection. So I hope you guys, whoever's in this club, you guys will enjoy this wine. All right, the second wine that comes in the red wine club is from the Bordeaux Castillon. So Castillon is one of the satellite appellation next to Saint Emilion and Pomerol. So it's on the right bank of the Dordogne River in Bordeaux. That part, the right bank, that's where Merlot typically dominates. So these are Merlot-based wines. In fact, this blend is 90% Merlot, a little bit of Cab Franc, a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is specifically a 2016 selection for this club. 2016 by many standards is considered maybe the best vintage of the decade in Bordeaux. And it shows in this wine. You could even see that it got like the 92 points for wine enthusiasts, which I think for everyday drinking wine is like a fantastic score. And yeah, once again, the proprietors, they're going the organics biodynamics method. But the thing I read about these wines, I didn't try other vintages, but from kind of just looking at the scores and just assessment overall, they did not get high scores like this. This is specifically a 2016 score and quality of the wine. So I'm very excited. So yeah, for the red wine club, you get both Crozes-Hermitage and a Bordeaux, which are pretty cool selection. All right, guys, some more cool wines in the high society club. And once again, vintage matters. So first, we'll start with Il Colle's Brunello di Montalcino, from the vintage of the century, 2016 vintage out of Tuscany. So far that people are saying everything out of 2016 is fantastic. All throughout Tuscany and specifically Brunello's. So these wines, from everything I've read, and kind of judging by like, once again, scores, critical assessment, I haven't seen a better assessment of vintage than 2016 period. You know, outside of this century, even going back to the 90s and before that. So this is a fantastic wine. Just about everything Brunello related out of 2016 was fantastic. So this definitely is fantastic. You can tell this wine got 97 points from Wine Enthusiast, got 17.5 points plus from Jancis Robinson. Very highly regarded wine. And once again, I was very excited to get a wine like this, of this quality, into a high society club. Typically wines like this jump the price point. So this is very cool. This comes from a tiny estate within Brunello. And what another interesting part, besides the great vintage, is that the winemakers, or the family, they hired the winemaker, Monsieur Gambelli. They call him the man who could hear vine. So he's a Sangiovese specialist. And once again, all of this goes back to the soils, the health of the vineyards, what's best for the vine, what's best for the grapes. And you put this type of effort, plus you get a fantastic vintage, you get a amazing wine, 97.1. So I'm very excited for you guys in the High Society Club that I was able to get a wine of this quality into the club. All right, and another vintage specific selection. So this comes from Neil Ellis within South Africa. So Neil Ellis is one of the pioneering winemakers. He started making wine there in the early 90s. Typically he buys wines from other areas. It's not all estate grown fruit. And this wine, this Stella Vache Cabernet Sauvignon, once again, based on a little reviews and kind of educational that I built up, it's typically not a highly regarded wine. I was looking at some of the vintage, and I'm going to give you Jancis Robinson's kind of perspective. So typically this wine gets like 16.5 points, which is about like a 90 points on a like 100-point scale. So good wine, but nothing like fantastic. But for 2019 vintage, this wine is getting awards all over the place, and Jancis herself gave this wine 18 points, which is like unheard of. That's like, Michel Chapoutier's Hermitage level quality wine. So when I was able to get an 18-point wine from Jancis Robinson into the wine selection along with the Brunello, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fantastic. I think these wines are really high quality wines that are drinking above the high society price point. So if you guys are in the club, I hope you enjoy these wines. I'll put all the rest, more details about these wines in the description below, so please go to the private page and read more about these wines, more description, more reviews, etc. And if you guys are not in clubs, are interested in getting these wines, go to the project page and you're able to purchase them either online or in the store. All right, guys, thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye.